Chapter 10 of A Lucky Deal by a Self-Made Man. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 10. How Jack Acquired Inside Information. One morning, Jack was sent to deliver a package of important papers at the office of a well-known millionaire capitalist. Entering the reception room, he found Hartz and another prominent broker standing by one of the windows talking in a low tone together. They did not notice him right away, and though the boy made no effort to listen to their conversation, of which he couldn't hear much anyway, a bit of valuable information came to him quite unexpectedly that set him thinking very hard as he marched inside to deliver his package to the capitalist in the private office. He had heard Hartz and the other broker talking about a certain stock they were going to corner. They had called on the millionaire expecting to interest him in the scheme with others whose names were written down on a list referred to by Hartz during his talk. Now, many boys wouldn't have given the matter a second thought, or if they had, wouldn't have had the gumption to consider how they might avail themselves of the knowledge that every broker in the district would have given his head, so to speak, to have an inkling of. But Jack Hazard was smarter than a steel trap. Corners and such things were familiar terms to him. He hadn't burned his fingers on the market as yet. He was a deal too cautious for that. But all the same, the fever had been working in his blood, and there was no telling when it would break out. He had his own idea about investing in stocks, and had figured the thing out until his brain sometimes got weary over the work. Practically he was standing on the brink, like a timid bather on the seashore, tempted by the sight of the water, but hesitating to make the first plunge. And now, like a sudden inspiration, he believed he saw his way to a good thing. And it was a good thing, if he only worked it right. And he thought he knew how to do it. "What are you thinking about?" asked Millie Price, noting the preoccupied air of the boy after he returned from the capitalist's office. "I was thinking about how I could make a haul," said Jack with a grin of anticipation. "Not in stocks, I hope," said Millie with some concern, for she had little faith in Wall Street deals. "That's for me to know and you to find out, Millie," said Jack tantalizingly. "Aren't you just horrid?" she retorted with a smile that showed the young messenger was a prime favorite of hers. "I hope not. That's what you said about that dude that was in here yesterday. I hope you aren't comparing me with him." "The idea! Just as if I would," she said, tossing her head. "Oh, by the way, who do you suppose was in here inquiring for you while you were out?" "Couldn't guess, Millie, unless it was the mayor, who is a particular friend of mine," said Jack with a grin. "What a ridiculous boy you are. It was Mr. Seymour Atherton." "No, is that a fact?" said the boy with evident interest. "I should have liked to have seen him." "And he had your little mash with him, too," said Millie with a mischievous smile. "What's that? What are you getting off?" "You don't really know who I mean?" "Of course I don't. I haven't any mash, unless it's yourself," grinned Jack. "Haven't you got the cheek?" laughed the stenographer, blushing. "Well, then, I'll tell you who it was. It was Fanny Bruce, and she looked just too cute for anything." "I'd have liked to seen her, too," said Jack. "She's the loveliest little girl, I think, I ever saw," said Millie enthusiastically. "Hello!" exclaimed Ed Potter, walking in. "What are you two chinning about? Why don't you get busy? What am I paying you for?" "Hello, Ed. What brought you around?" "My feet. Did you think it was an automobile?" "Isn't he funny?" said Millie. "You must excuse him, Millie. He isn't responsible at all times." "I suppose you're thinking that's amusing," growled Ed. "Say, Ed, I want to see you a moment," said Jack, walking over to a window. "Well, look at me. I'm on exhibition for the time being," snickered Potter. "Oh, rats, come over here. I want to talk to you." "Got any money you want to invest?" he asked as Ed approached. "Sure, 7 cents. "Stop your fooling. Got $10? If you have, I'll put you on to a sure thing." "What is it?" "Buy a couple shares of LS on 10% margin. Last quotation 36. "Got a tip?" "That's what I have. I'm going down to Siemens tomorrow to draw my pile. I've enough to collar 25 shares at that margin." "Well, I'll think about it." Next morning LS opened at the same figure, and as soon as he got the chance, Jack hied himself to the savings bank, drew his money, and dropping in on Oliver Bird, surprised the gentleman by asking him to buy 25 shares of LS for him. "You ought to know your business, Jack. "But it seems to me you're doing a foolish thing," said the broker warningly. "That's where you and I differ at present. Back me for 25 shares more, and I'll let you in on the ground floor." "What do you mean by that?" asked Bird curiously. "Will you stand for the 25 if I tell you?" "Certainly, if you're determined to make the plunge. But remember, I strongly advise you against it. I owe you a good turn, and I'll back you for 50, so take your money away." "That isn't business, Mr. Bird. I won't accept any favors in this deal. I come to you the same as I would any broker. I'll sell you a share in my tip for a 10% margin on 25 shares of LS. And if you consider the tip worth it, I want you to deal with me the same as you would anyone else." "Well, what's your tip, Jack?" said the broker, smiling doubtfully. "Hartz and Bradshaw are getting up a corner to boost LS." "How do you know that?" asked Bird sharply. Jack told him what he had overheard the two men say at the capitalist's office the day before. Bird considered a moment. "I don't mind admitting that your information is valuable. I'm going to look into it. If I find from indications that are bound to show themselves in a day or two that a pool has apparently been formed, I'll stake you for 100 shares. The tip is worth that easily." "All right, much obliged," said the boy joyfully. "That's business, and my 100 will give me 25 shares more. But you must let me use my own judgment about selling out." "You'd better let me attend to that, Jack." "Thanks, but I've got my own idea. I'd like to feel independent in the matter. I've been studying the market for some time, and if you can shear me of the little bull I've got, you're welcome to do so." "I shouldn't want to do that, Jack," laughed the broker. "And I don't propose to give you the chance to do it," grinned the boy. "You're a case, young man. Drop in and see me in a day or two." "All right, sir." And Jack took his leave, feeling that at last he was getting to be of some importance in the street. End of chapter 10.